I moved from Franklin Park, Illinois to Baltimore, Maryland as the Industrial Engineering and Quality Manager for our new Ceiling Grid joint venture. Now, our plant manager in Franklin Park was also promoted to a position in the new joint venture as the manager of our larger plant in Baltimore. But over the next few weeks, things were changing pretty quickly, and he wasn't really comfortable with the pace of change and some of the decisions that were being made by the new joint venture. So one day, about 2 months in, he informed his boss that he wasn't comfortable with the pace of change and also the choices that were being made, and he was happy to stay until his replacement was named. His boss told him that they had found a replacement and he could leave that day. So he packed up his bags and he left, leaving most of us in the plant staff kind of in shock. We didn't really know what to make of all this. Now, the next day, about noontime, our new plant manager showed up. His name, Jim, a salesman for the other joint venture partner, and this was his first manufacturing assignment. He was excited for the opportunity and spent some time getting to know us, but we started to see a pattern where Jim wouldn't show up at the plant until lunchtime most days. We were kind of wondering, why was that happening? Because this was unusual for operations. And it started to bother the staff and the personnel at the plant. Most of the time, plant management would always be there at the plant early in the day, but this was not Jim's pattern. Now, behind closed doors, people were complaining about this, but nobody said a word to Jim about how things looked and how it felt for people in the plant. Well, I finally said to the rest of them, I'd like to try to speak to Jim about that, and some of the more experienced staff members wished me luck and told me that they would miss me. So one day, after Jim came in, I knocked on his door, and I asked him if he had a few minutes to talk with me. He let me enter the office, and I told him that we needed him at the plant earlier in the day as our leader, that it was really weighing on the staff and the crew, and in operations, it really mattered to have the staff together early in the day to set the tone and direction for the plant. Now, I probably spoke for 5 to 10 minutes, and Jim never said a word, never acknowledged anything I had said. He listened, and when I had finished saying my piece, I got up and I left kind of unsure whether I was still employed. I went home, told my wife, and she reassured me. She said, well, at least you did your best, and you did what you thought was right. Now, a few weeks went by, and slowly a pattern emerged. Jim started showing up at the plant earlier and earlier and engaged with the crew and the staff more frequently throughout the day. Now, this was great, and the plant started running really well, and we were aligned, and over the next year and a half, 2 years, we all got very friendly and tight together and became good friends. But still, Jim had never acknowledged the first discussion we had had. Now, a little over 2 years after I got there, I was given the opportunity to move on in a higher role at a ceramic tile venture in Olean, New York for Armstrong. So I did my exit interviews, and I went into Jim's office, and the day I was leaving, he was telling me how much that first discussion mattered to him and how much he appreciated it, that I was willing to go out of my way to talk to him about how to be a better leader. Well, I looked him straight in the eye. I said, you son of a gun. You let me hang for all this time wondering if that was my last day of employment at the venture. How could you do that to me? He said, well, Adam, to be quite honest with you, you caught me by surprise. But then as time wore on, I just kind of let you hang there because it was kind of fun and amusing to see you wonder if you were still going to be employed.
I hope this story provided you with some inspiration to revisit your own processes. I have a lot more I'd like to share. Head over to pi-partners.com to learn how I can help. And check back from time to time for more Kaizen stories.